Hey guys, personal injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here. And one thing that injured people always want to know is are there deadlines that'll, if I miss the deadline, I'll lose my case. So that's what this video is about. The answer, of course, is yes. Like most people know of deadlines or things called statute of limitations on cases. That's basically just a deadline that you have to have the case filed in court by. And if you don't have the case filed in court by that date, you lose the case. So every kind of case that gets filed at the courthouse has a deadline. In Illinois, it's really true that most deadlines are 2 years from the date of the injury. Okay, so whether it's a car crash or a fall down case, you gotta file a case in suit over at the courthouse within 2 years. There's one thing there's actually like a lot of things that modify that. So any case against a city or a government entity usually has a 1-year deadline because government controls government, right? So they've passed special rules to make it harder to sue a government. There's also a whole law called the Tort Immunity Act that makes proving the actual case real difficult too. But as far as deadlines go, the deadlines are usually 2 years, 1 year in some other cases. Occasionally the deadlines are longer than that. And then there are also specific situations where the deadlines can get extended. So for example, if you're in a coma or incapacitated, like mentally incapacitated due to your injuries, there's a statute that allows us to delay the running of the statute of limitations. Here's another one. If a kid under 18 gets hurt, they have 2 years after their 18th birthday to file suit if they were hurt when they were, younger than 18. So you can see there's like some wrinkles to it, but in the vast majority of cases, it's 2 years. There are exceptions that we've talked about. The safest thing for you to do, and I know that this sounds self-serving, but the way I think about it is that there is a well-known statute of limitations or deadline in personal injury cases, and that's what we've talked about up to this point. The secret one, though, the secret deadline, sorry, I'm just checking for traffic. The secret deadline is not really a deadline, but it's just that it's a deadline for you discovering what the deadline is, right? So you need to figure out what your deadline is as early in your case as possible. I guess that's my point. And that's the secret deadline, because if you think you got 2 years to file a lawsuit, but the deadline is actually 1 year, your case could be over. So the secret deadline is how long after you get hurt do you figure out what your deadline is? Because it's really true that when people have a deadline in front of them, they want to know what that date is, and then their behavior as they approach that date changes, right? So if you think you have 10 years to file a lawsuit, you're not in any rush. But if you think that you got a 1-year deadline, you're in a pretty big rush. So my point is, like, the secret deadline is figuring out when your actual deadline is and then acting appropriately. Why? Because the earlier and sooner you put a case together, the better off you're going to be. Because witnesses disappear, witnesses move out of state, doctors and hospitals get rid of records, documents, other documents and stuff like that disappear. My point is, like, the fresher a case is, the easier it is for somebody to investigate the case and put it together for you, versus if you wait until the last minute. I know lots of lawyers that if somebody calls them right before the deadline at court, they won't even take the case, because a lawyer has an ethical obligation to do it, to sue all the people who are or might be legally responsible. And if somebody walks into my office and the deadline is tomorrow, I have to take their word as to, who to sue, and I've got I don't know, a few hours maybe to research who else we should be suing, right? So those are my thoughts about the deadlines. I hope this information helps you. Have a great day. Take care.